All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our weekly radio show. Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat. Today is no other difference than the weeks that we have had in the past. Obviously, it is a new show for us here, our new talk show. Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat. Today is extremely special for many reasons. One, we have two special guests here from the Coalition of Muslim Women. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes.
But also today happens to be my wife's birthday as well too. So I want to say happy birthday to her. But today, the 1 hour we were talking about earlier, about us being here for 1 hour. The 1 hour will fly by so fast because the organization that you are part of has started from grassroots, and you guys have gone really, we put a lot of energy, into this thing, and take it along to a total different level. At least that's how I've seen it. So what we'll do? Why don't you take a minute or so, introduce yourself, and then that way people know who you are, your role in the organization, all of that. And then we're going to talk more as to how you got started, talk more about the organization, about the programs that, that has been offered by the organization. So why don't you take it away? You want to go first, Osman?
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Narine. Thank you for having us.
So can you maybe try to speak a little bit closer there? Try that. Okay.
My name is Isma Bhutto, and I'm the coordinator of Coalition of Muslim Women. I have been with the Coalition for the last 7 years, and I have been volunteering with them as a member and as a board member. We do wonderful, amazing work, but I'll let Sarah introduce her, and then we'll catch up with more.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
All right. My name is Sarah Shafiq. I'm the coordinator for the Islamophobia project with the Coalition of Muslim Women. So a little bit about me. I grew up in Pakistan, originally from Pakistan. I did my undergrad when came to US for grad school. So I did my doctorate in sociology. Uzma will tell you she's also a doctor. She's a medical doctor. And then my husband got a job here, so we moved here. So I teach part-time at Laurier.
Oh, nice.
And then I also coordinate. I'm involved in various other community organization, member of Crime Prevention Council. I'm also steering committee member with the Interfaith Grand River as well.
How do you do it all? We'll talk more about that.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about.
Good stuff. Anything else you want to share about yourself, Uzma?
Well, I think we both have one son, Sarah. And then I have my son. He's turning 13 on 27 January. And I came to Canada directly to Waterloo because my husband got the job in the University of Waterloo. I think it was 2005, September. And as Sarah said, that I have the medical background. So I came, just like as another immigrant, we had to work thrice to achieve those levels of success. So I did my Master's of Public Health, and I have done my licensing exam. But I love and enjoy my work with Coalition of Muslim Women. So I believe that empowering the women is so much important that we need to be part of that.
Good. And speaking of that, we are going to get into the organization, right from the beginning, as to how it got started and so on, the idea behind it. But I would like to definitely take a minute or so to really say hello to our people who are watching. We have people watching and listening to us from all over the world. And keep in mind, if you just tune into us, our show is just like the Caribbean Spice. There are 3 different ways to listen to us. You can listen to us on the regular dial, and that is 102.7 CKMS FM. You can listen to us on Rogers Digital Cable 946, and of course worldwide on the web songfm.ca. And for those of you who are watching us on Facebook and social media, obviously we're taking it to some different audience here. So Davy Jagmohan, thank you so much for taking a sneak peek. We have MC Drupi really supporting our local initiative here in Kitchener as well too, although they are living in Toronto. We've had Marinas last week. We've had him in the past and so on. So we have lots of people watching and looking forward to the rich conversation here. So why don't you give us an idea as to how the organization got started? I know how it got started, but why don't you share with our listeners?
So Coalition of Muslim Women, when there was a bill passed 94 in Quebec, which started to ban the...
Try to speak a little bit more, bring it a little bit more closer. Oh, there you go. Yeah,
in 2010.
Fantastic, yeah.
When Quebec started the ban on the niqab and hijab, that women would have to take off the hijab if they want the public services, or whether they are working with dealing in the government or the public sector. So the ban brought attention to most of the Muslim women living in Canada. And we in KW, we started with a group of almost 50 Muslim women who started a very peaceful rally and peaceful protest at the city of Kitchener. And around, I believe 150 to 200 people from the larger community supported the event, and they were supporting that ban of niqab shouldn't be there. And we were scared as Muslim women that if it's happening in Quebec, we might be affected. So with that small group of dedicated and passionate women, this organization came into existence, believing that we need to bring our voices out to the larger community and to take the gaps of misunderstanding from the bigger community. So that's how we have been successful for the past I think around 8 years now.
And sorry,
Yeah,
go
if I
ahead.
could
Go ahead. Absolutely.
add a
You
bit,
go right ahead, yeah.
So many times, the community was feeling that, maybe we were reacting to what was happening, and this was the forum was held as a reaction. So at the time, this empowered group, they thought that we should be proactive,
For sure,
and
for sure.
we should be the ones who should be leading the conversation and talking about raising the issues that are relevant to us instead of other people.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure, for
Talking
sure.
about this, and this was a big at that time media story as well, but not the community wasn't really wasn't really asked what should be done, and so they really wanted to bring that voice
And if I remember correctly, because I can still remember when it got started and so on. My understanding is that you guys started out by doing meetings at Tim Hortons and all of this. Like, did any of you remember this?
So homes, and there became a very powerful group of Muslim women. Yeah, we started from the very low level, and then we did the partnership with some organizations.
Nice.
We rented the space, and they were very kind to provide us the room for trainings, workshops. But after, I think, 1.5 years, we were well settled, and we were just coming up with a group of those ladies and training the communities of the Muslim women to make them leaders, empowering them so that they feel valued in the community for who they are as Muslim women.
And just completely volunteer run. I mean, so considering from day one, this handful of women were they were working, they were studying, they were
that's right,
just juggling a lot of their responsibilities. But this was something very passionate to them, and they spent a lot
And
of time.
speaking of Muslim women, my understanding is that you have, I'm not sure the number of countries, but if I'm not mistaken, you have Muslim women from all over the place.
For almost, I think, more than 2025. Sudan,
Amazing,
Somalia,
so it's not only from
Syria, you name it.
Pakistan.
Pakistan, even India, we have Muslim women.
How about Guyana?
Not yet.
Come on, Guyana. So,
we have
okay,
to have somebody will contact you, Narine.
Okay, so for those of you who have just tuned in, obviously you're watching and listening to us on Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat, and we are here with two members of the Muslim the Coalition of Muslim Women to talk about how the organization started and what the organization is doing for the community and to empower women and so on. But speaking of women, if I'm not mistaken, they mentioned that they don't have any representative from Guyana. And me being from Guyana, I know that in Guyana we have Muslim, Christian, and Hindus and all of that, and we all just live as one people.
Absolutely.
And so I'm encouraging you don't necessarily have to be from Guyana, but I will encourage you to get in touch with the organization. Just check out the organization. You'll be amazed to know the kind of work that they are doing and will continue to do locally here and in this region. That is a beautiful thing. Yeah?
So I mean, Muslim community is also very diverse for sure. Just like Christian community, there's Muslims from all over the world, China and Indonesia. Like people are very surprised to know that the largest Muslim majority country is actually Indonesia. And actually Arabs, they just represent 15% of the whole population of Muslims around the world.
I wasn't aware of that.
Most of us, most of Muslims don't know Arabic, and so it is very diverse. And really, coalition, I think, for me personally, that is something that I really value in the coalition. That it is very diverse, and even in terms of sex. Even in terms of socioeconomic status, in terms of your religiosity, and we're really there. Really, our core is values. We are not really concerned with. Uzma has her own interpretations of like she's not wearing a scarf. Absolutely,
I wanted to ask her about that, but I'm not going to.
Absolutely as valued as somebody who is so, and it's not just for Muslim women. It is really open to everybody.
You brought up a good point, because for me, the way I see it, and this is just my view on it, and you will both have to correct me here. For me, it is okay to wear it or not to wear it. The way the way it's, so the choice should be up to the woman, really, right?
Absolutely.
And then that.
Absolutely, and that's
it's not that difficult.
That
right?
is the reality of if you.
That's how you interpret whether you want to accept or not, whether you want to go for that
Absolutely.
or not. But the modesty, personally, it's a personal belief, as Sarah said, that modesty is in your heart, in your soul, how you take things. So it's a personal choice too, as well.
And one thing we should remind ourselves too is that not that it's an issue, but it's not only Muslim women covering their head. Just there are women from different from all over, right? So Hindus, they do that. So for example, like my relatives and family and friends, if they go to, let's say they go to the temple, for example, that's when they'll kind of do that a little bit more, or if they have like a religious function. So it's not like they don't at all. And or some people choose to continuously do it, but it's not only there's so many, like the Mennonites, and all of that, right? So I think people need to understand those.
And it's funny that I feel like I grew up in Pakistan, and actually I went to convent schools, so the missionary schools, and I grew up with nuns and seeing the habits, and I feel like I'm actually more familiar with nuns than people over here who grew up here. So I've seen in Pakistan Christians and Muslims, and they everybody practices in their own ways, and.
Good. So believe it or not, we are 25% out of the show already, because time goes by that fast. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. But before we do that, why don't you tell me something that you're most grateful for? So we try to use this show, in a positive way as possible. And I know it's easy for us to complain about things constantly and all the things happening in social media and in our personal life as well. But if I was to ask you, I'm going to ask both of you the same question. Like, what is the one thing you're most grateful for? And I know there are probably so many things.
There are so many. Absolutely. Yeah. The contentment of peace in my heart. I think that's I'm really grateful for that content.
Good.
Good.
Good. Thank you so much for saying that. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, by the way. Appreciate that. And how about you, Uzma?
As Sarah said, so many things. So I was like trying to figure out which one is the most important and what makes me happy. I would want to talk that KW, the Coalition of Muslim Women, is the only organization that is run by the women. So I believe that what my passion is, it connects to the coalition as well as the community, where we are giving back to the community what we have. We came as immigrants. So Canadian culture, Canadian citizens, they have accepted us. And I believe that this is such a beauty of diversity, that we are welcome here, but lots of challenges, but we are happy internally, soul-wise. We are very much, I think, contented, as Sarah said.
Oh, thank you so much, so both of you. So for those of you who've just tuned in, you're listening to Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat. And obviously, we have two members from the Coalition of Muslim Women who are here to talk about the organization and how you can get involved and all of that. They're going to share information in terms of how you can reach out to them and so on. But obviously, these days, nothing is new. You can Google the organization and get all information. You see activities that have done in the past and so on. But we are going to be right back. So we're just going to take a little bit of a break. So usually during our break time, I just want to explain this because we had some feedback where people thought that they were just seeing us action but not hearing anything. But when we take a little bit of a break, we usually play music, and usually it's from First Nation, and that's our way to kind of pay our respect to the First Nation tribe, so to speak. That's the best way I can say it. So we're going to take a little bit of a break. Lots more to share. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right. Good morning once again, and welcome to our weekly show, Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat. As you know, we are here with two guests from the Coalition of Muslim Women. And so what we're going to do, we are going to continue this conversation. So why don't you take it away? Let us know what you're working on in terms of project or what you've done in the past. But I know you're working on some unique projects. So why don't you take it away and share that with our listeners?
Yeah, so maybe I'll begin So I coordinate the Islamophobia project. It's been going on since 2012, and we started. It started off as many of our members were sharing stories of harassment or even hate incidents, hate crimes, and some incidents on the bus, on the public sort of streets, and we thought we should do something about it. So we again, like that proactive stance instead of a big sort of event happening and making an effort. So we felt there was a need for the community, for the Muslim community specifically, to understand what hate crimes are, how to respond, how to heal from it. And so at that time we had a really small grant. Some of the local funders, they supported us at that time. And again, we arranged workshops, we arranged community sessions, and we started that project at that time. We thought that it'll be a peer support project, that we will help those who've been victimized and help them connect to resources in the community, the police or all that. But we realized really the need was even at that basic. We thought, okay, we're a Muslim organization, Muslim women, so they'll be Muslims will be really comfortable to come and report what is happening.
For sure.
But we realized that was one of the major findings of the project, that even we realized they weren't even comfortable coming to us. So there is a really the reporting is a big issue with
and why is
hate
that, you
crimes.
think? Because this is not the first I've heard of that. Because for me, it wouldn't be any different if in some cases, not in all cases, let's say from the West Indies or from Guyana, people we would assume that people will want to come to Guyanese, to share, but not in all cases. So this is just opinion here. Why do you think that is?
So hate crimes generally are reported much less. Almost they say more than 50% are not reported. So be it xenophobic, anti-immigrant, race for African Canadians, LGBTQ community. So hate crimes are generally the reporting is really less, and there are many reasons. For those newcomers, they're a little
bit hesitant.
Their relationship with the police is a bit different.
Absolutely.
They're a little they think that their immigration status may be compromised or impacted. So there are many reasons, and continues, the project continues, and actually then in 2017 the Quebec mosque shooting happened, and that was a huge incident for the community, with just completely shocking that something like that would happen in Canada. And so actually next week it'll be the second anniversary of that. And we'll be holding a vigil in Kitchener City Hall on 29th, and Tuesday we'll be just gathering. It's an interfaith gathering. So Interfaith Grand River and a couple of local organizations are coming together to just show solidarity and bring remember that incident, and take action as well. So we'll also be making a call to designate that day as a day against hate and intolerance, and not just for the Muslim community, but against all kinds of hate and intolerance. So that's something that we would want the Heritage Committee, Canadian Heritage Committee, to consider and designate January 29th as that day, and then taking a lot of actions in lieu of that. So so that's going on, and there are
so
lots
you must
of
be
other
busy
projects.
planning all of this.
There are a lot of we've been really busy, and there's and just recently we got a grant from In Spirit Foundation as well. And so till now, for the past 5 years, I was volunteering, and just now they have that grant. So
Good,
I'm hired part-time, and we're really excited about that.
For sure, because for me it shows a sign of growth as well too. And and it goes to show that they recognize, when I say they, the grantors and so on, they
Right.
kind of recognize the work that has been done by the organization, and they see the need for it. There's no question about that. There's
Yeah.
definitely a need for all of these pieces, because for me, earlier you brought up a good point. Obviously, you started up the group, and so on, with the hope that you can do referral and send people here and there and whatnot. But then you realize that it wouldn't necessarily work that way. It's not that easy for you can make a recommendation or a referral and say, why don't you go there and there? But it's not necessarily an easy thing for people to take that step to kind of go there.
Absolutely. So
sure.
always, like we need to find it really grassroots as well, and then systemic as well, and it has to be tackled from many different perspectives and angles.
So I mean, I don't want to get too personal here, but I'm seeing like two persons with lots of passion and energy here. So if I was to ask you, because there are lots of women watching, men as well too, obviously, but so where that passion comes from, really? Because a lot of passion, you're just passionate. You talk about your passion as well. You wrote, you did a presentation the other day as well. So where that come from? Like, is that like I'm not sure.
So Narine, looking at the women who do not have their voices, who are sitting at home. So we believe that we should be the voices. If we are sitting, then who is going to take the charge? So the internal passion sometimes comes from your family, from the community, from the leaders around you, and most of the time, like for myself, that's the self-motivation, the self-passion that we have. But with the diverse group of ladies, they have the energy, they have the kids, they have the jobs, they have to do so much in the community, their social life and the home things. But even then, they have that energy, the desire to give back and to be the voices of the woman, because we cannot just sit and see the woman suffering or their rights not be fulfilled. So I think it's God gifted, and it's because of the community that relies on certain people. I
think both of you nailed it there, because the fella, I'm not sure if he's watching or listening, but from Montreal, we had a conversation for the first time last night, and we were talking about all of these issues and all of these types of things and so on. And we were talking about change and how to affect change and so on, because at the end of the day, if there are things happening, and if you and I don't really do anything about it, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing will change, really.
Yeah.
It, right?
And I think, I'm realizing how, what drives me is to the realization that things could change really fast and in a negative way as well.
Oh yes.
So
maybe faster in a negative way.
Yeah,
for sure.
I guess maybe
that way, yeah.
So I often give this example. My aunts, they came to two of my aunts came to US about 40 years ago, and their kids were born in US, living in California, New York. And the other day I was talking to her. She was saying that when we came to US, we thought this was heaven. Paradise.
40 years ago.
40 years ago, they said, this is, they were doing well, they were, well settled, and, their experience was just beautiful. And just now she was saying, I can't believe that happened. That what's happening today,
the changes and
is,
so on, right?
just this changed, so quickly. And so, and really, that really, many times in Canada, we think that, the things are doing where we are so much better, and we, have a little bit of, and we are, I think in really around the world, the issues that people face, we are really blessed, but we can't just sit passively. We really need to make a lot of effort at this level to contain the issues that we have, contain it at this level. If we don't work now, there's no reason, we are not exceptions. Things can get out of hand really quickly. So that really motivates me, that we don't have any choice but to, really do that proactive work and be involved in the community, and have your voice heard, and those of us, really, not everybody is able to do it. People
sure.
are, just struggling, and and they're just trying to survive. Many are just trying to survive.
For sure.
But I mean, for me, for probably Uzma, we have that leverage that we could put in that much of time in our volunteer work, and our maybe spouses are doing well. They're able to support the family. So we have that responsibility. I feel like, for personally, responsibility to give back and make use of that time really effectively. And so those
It's
are
so important that if we don't decide, somebody else will decide for you. So it's a must thing to stand for your rights, speak up, and decide for what we want.
Be involved and citizen, right? I mean, that's how democracies. This is democracies. We again, just south of the border, we are. We understand how fragile democracies are. It really, democracy work when people. It's work. It's actually. It's not just the voting bit, right?
Thank you.
It's a lot of work.
The voting is important too, but it's not just the voting.
Yes,
it's so
absolutely.
Much more.
Just understanding how the system works, and it's a lot of involvement. Continuous.
For sure. For sure, and when people want to affect change, it doesn't have, or if you want to voice your opinion, it doesn't have to be in a violent way,
Of course
things can be done in sort of a peaceful way, and sometimes it takes that conversation to really get to bigger things, and this is just a perfect example, I think. And for me, all I can see that this organization, the kind of thing that I've seen, I can just see it keeps growing and growing and growing, because as particularly our region is growing with people too, and so I think that is such a great thing. So obviously there are new projects and stuff coming on. There are a lot of things you guys are working on. I like the idea of the awards event, because one thing I can tell you is that when people volunteer, I volunteer as well too, right? They don't volunteer for any expectation. They volunteer because they saw a need, they want to, it makes them feel good, whatever different reasons. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how bad the experience is volunteering. You always gain from that experience. I can tell you that for sure. But I like the idea of that, because for me, at the end of the day, when people are empowered, it really makes a difference in their lives, right? And it's okay to recognize and acknowledge and all of that, right? So I really like that piece of it, because for me, if we can recognize our own people, then who else will too? You know what I mean? Right?
Oh yeah, the unsung heroes, right?
The unsung heroes who have brains below their hijab. So under their hijab, they have an extreme, beautiful, brilliant brains. So yes, that award gala is coming on March 2nd. It's at the Family Center. And the event is about the unsung heroes, as we said, and it is these are the things that these Muslim women are doing in the community, some extraordinary work. So to appreciate, to honor them, every year we celebrate this in the month of March.
Oh, wow.
in
commemoration with the women, World Women's Day. And this event will be from 6:30 to 9. And it will be well attended by around minimum 250 people. Most of the guests would be from the larger community, the Muslim community, all the political wonderful dignitaries. They come. We get a lot of sponsorship and there are certain categories for the award. So one is the inspiring leadership, volunteering and advocacy, activism, and youth award, arts award. So there are 6 categories that we always appreciate those women. And it would be our 4th year that we are celebrating this award gala. So we invite all of the people listening to us and share it with the community. The information is on our Facebook page as well as the website. If you just browse Coalition of Muslim Women, you will get all the information.
For sure. So anything else you want to share before we take a quick break?
It's a excellent opportunity to bring the youth as well. I think that really, and in addition to what Uzma said, it's really important for the youth to get to know their community and to know that, larger community, our leaders are celebrating, these, women or, marginalized communities. So it's really I think empowering for the youth to see these examples and role models.
For sure, and I think particularly for the ones that are born over here too, right? Because if we're born over here, things can kind of slips through the cracks in terms of
Absolutely.
values and
Yeah.
culture practices and all of those pieces and so on.
Yeah,
And
that you
Narine,
can
we
give.
sorry, we do have many other projects that we are running. One is the Muslim Women Employment Social Support Project that we talked at Ludovot. It's a project to bring the outcomes of why the Muslim woman is not having enough employment opportunities. What are the barriers? So the reasons for the underemployment for the Muslim women. So it's a project that we will be finishing soon, but it's an important project and a lot of organization will be supporting us, and we have job seeker survey for that.
So I want to hear more about that. We're going to take a quick break, a short break. I want to hear more about that because I'm a job developer. I'm curious to know what's happening when it comes to employment, how I can contribute and all of that. Because, one thing I can tell you for sure is that, and I'll say it because that's how I see it as a job developer, we still have lots of discrimination when it comes to employment. Locally here in the region of Waterloo, and beyond, because I was speaking to somebody as well last night, but I see it locally here, and we have to keep this conversation going. So I would be more than happy for you to share that piece and how where you're at with it and all of that, because I myself I was granted that grant to work on that, and I'm also working on a project related to that, and we call it Empower Employment.
Yes. And you
So I'll
could
talk
be
more
a
about that
great
afterward.
addition to that.
Sorry.
You could be a great addition to that project.
Maybe there's ways we can contribute for sure.
Our
So
partners, we have to work on this together.
Absolutely, for sure. So, all right, for those of you who've tuned in particular, you're listening to us here. Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat with two special guests from the Coalition of Muslim Women. A very rich conversation. I usually get excited to hear all of these things because I'm passionate about, doing community work and so on. I think that's why both of you are here with such of a short notice. That alone speak for itself, no question about it. Couple of emails, and you guys, despite the weather out there, to me, this is this is Canada, obviously, but to me, this is the worst one, at least for this season.
This year.
I think so. We have more to come. But anyways, we're going to be right back. We really appreciate you taking the time listening to us. But please do check out their website, Google Coalition of Muslim Women. You're going to see the amazing work they've done, and I'm sure that you too will be inspired to do the bits and pieces to really contribute to our community. We'll be right back. All right. So we are back. You're listening and watching Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat. We're here with two special guests from the Coalition of Muslim Women. Why don't you both of you remind people of your name? You will say it better than I will.
I'm Sarah Shafiq.
And I'm Isma Bhutto.
All right. So before the break, you had slightly touched on the new project, the employment project. Why don't you share that with us?
So this project, the Muslim Women Employment Support Project, is run by the 10 core committee members, and they are planning, they are going to evaluate the project, they are working hard, they are the members of coalition. It's a completely volunteering program and is funded by the Ontario government. And this project is to raise awareness about the underemployment and unemployment of the Muslim women in KW area. We are going to work on the barriers that Muslim women are facing when they go to the job market, or what makes the organization not hire the Muslim women. So around, I think within 1 or 2 weeks, we received around 80 to 90 job seeker survey. And those brought a huge result that what are the barriers, why they are not employed at this certain level of education. Despite of having the PhDs, master's degrees from a Canadian institution, they are not still hired in their level of education for the employment. So for that, we will be doing, the second part will be doing the job pilot projects workshop. And those will be catered to around 20 Muslim women. And it is about increasing their skills and knowledge when they apply to the job, or to make them ready that what barriers they have been facing. So that will be a 4-week series. It will be starting in February, second week.
Oh, nice.
And it will be 4 consecutive days from the half-day program. We are meeting, we are doing lots of work on that, but we did receive some of the HR and the hiring staff surveys. Unluckily, we didn't have many. And that is a different part, but we received around 20 where they did point that in their opinion, it could be the Canadian experience, it could be the language was 75%, that they believe that language would be a problem for the Muslim women, whereas when we can talk in English, we can convey, we can do work, but their perception is that these are the challenges that organization would face. And there were many other, the Canadian experience and resume. So in our workshops that we will be doing for the pilot project, we will be working on resumes, communication, the basic etiquettes, and how to socialize, many things that we will be touching.
For
and
sure.
we will invite experienced guest speakers for that.
For sure. And so speaking of that, if there's a way, if you have shortage of participant in terms of guest speakers, or to contribute in certain area, if you feel that I can contribute to that, making myself available to it, because I'm a job developer, and
Sure,
at the end of the day,
you indefinitely not.
at the end of the day, us working together makes it a little bit easier.
Absolutely.
Right? So
that's important.
Even it might not be necessary within the training period of the program, but it could be even after, to
Sure,
kind of that
yeah.
connection to kind of move forward and so on,
Sure.
especially if they want to really get into
No,
workforce.
we should definitely maybe introduce,
know.
during the training, just,
Yes.
certain people who are, who've been
They
in the
can reach and
field
connect to, for sure.
and connect to, and that's really important, like this, solidarity.
For sure.
and
So
partnership.
I will let you continue, but I want to acknowledge that one of our viewers, Davy, as you can read, she's saying here, if that's okay, she said that glad to hear of the strength of empowerment of women. Best of luck, and ongoing success. So basically,
Wonderful, yeah.
she's recognizing that
Thank
you guys are
you.
doing,
Thank you so
recognizing.
much.
Sorry, my glasses are a little bit far away from the screen, but she's basically acknowledging that you guys are doing great work.
Oh, thank you.
And I got, speaking of that, not to take away from you guys here, because we
Yeah.
have lots to share here, but Davy, I know her personally. She's also she's a woman born in Ghana, but very active in the community, really active.
Yeah.
So she gets it. She herself is organizing event, volunteering and putting
There
things
you
together
go.
and so on.
It's a
So
common movement,
yes,
and
for sure.
we
women power too.
For sure,
there's
for
a lot, in all communities, we do our bit, we do our, little bit, and then it all adds up, right? It all adds up for everybody.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
whole community.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get back to the program. So where are you at with the program now? So you have your full participant type of thing, or are you
We
looking
are
for
going
more
to
people?
recruit
Oh, okay.
from this coming week.
Okay, good.
We'll be posting on the Facebook as well as on Twitter and through emails. And we would love if you want to share with the Muslim community out, if they are ladies, they can contact us at the Coalition of Muslim Women. Our website is cmw-kw.org. They can call us. We have an office at 65 Henson Avenue at the Family Center. And yes, we will be recruiting those women who would want to improve their skills and knowledge for the job employment. And then we will have the community forum on 20th March. And everybody is invited. We will have many table booths from the organization. They would be sharing what they do, how they cater towards the Muslim community and especially women. We will have political people. We will have the Muslim community as well as the larger community. We are looking at around 200 people who will attend this event, and we are working with full force, and hopefully it will be a successful event. We invite all of you to please come and listen to what we have to say. We will be sharing other projects in that too, which will show the discrimination, mental health, sense of belonging from one of the Muslimah project that we are doing in partnership with Wilfred Laurier, CCRLA research group project. It is still going on. We had 5 focus groups from that, from taking from different ages, youth to seniors. And other than that, we have done many other projects. Be the Change, as we said, that Coalition of Muslim Women works on the empowerment and valuing the Muslim women to be leaders for tomorrow in the community. So we train them for the different workshops, events. Be the Change was one of the successful workshops that we did. It was a 4-week workshop. Around 25 ladies attended that, and we had brought some workshop titles: communication, conflict resolution, speaking with confidence, and we had great speakers for that. Tea and Tales in another ongoing.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Ongoing
I'm aware
program that
of
we do. Last year we did for around 5 to 6 churches. Interfaith groups are always welcoming us. So thank you to all those churches. Those have invited us. And we are again having on 28th, Sarah is organizing for the training for different organizations. So that will be the part of the event as Tea and Tales, and that is a group of diverse Muslim women who host the table as from their culture, talking about from the perspective of Muslim women. And any question, all questions are welcome there. No question is silly or stupid. So everybody is welcome to invite us to their organization to do the Tea and Tales. We would love to go to them. We have some bookings already in 2019.
Oh, amazing.
So, so this Tea and Tale is actually part of the Islamophobia project, where one aspect of the project is to reach out to the larger community and build bridges. And we understand that there's a lot of misconceptions out there about Islam and Muslims, and unfortunately, the mainstream media has played a really negative role in depicting these images.
They focus on just the negative pieces.
Just the negative pieces.
Or they just see it through that lens.
Right. If there's some attack, then if it's a Muslim, then they focuses on the Muslim identity. If there's some other criminal act, they're not Muslims, so that religious identity is not attached. So in terms of media and games, video games, and it's a big Islamophobia industry is really big, unfortunately. So we have to we try to do. So we understand that people have a lot of questions that they want to ask, and many times in our world, we are a little concerned being labeled as racist or Islamophobe. So people are hesitant to ask those, frank questions. So, the Tea and Tale definitely provides an avenue where people can come and ask their questions in a safe space without being judged that
For
they're, this is not appropriate, this is not, like the whole PR bit that we have, political correctness. So this is, Tea and Tales is part of that. And it's really amazing the way, really Muslim, just every day,
sure.
Muslim women can, they sit around a table, they share their, cultures, tea or, small treats, and it's a conversation. It's a very,
Amazing,
beautiful. Another component of the this Tea and Tale is a learning bit like arts, performing arts monologue that famous Muslim women. I mean, we have just 1400 years of rich history of Muslim women being in just all amazing fields. Like they were scholars, they were head of states and rulers and queens and philanthropists, endowment fund, establishing the first university of the world. And so there's a lot of rich history that
I wasn't aware of that piece. So it's amazing how this can be a powerful thing for the younger generation in particular.
Absolutely. Like people, even the unfortunately even Muslim community, because of this Islamophobia and the imaging in the larger sort of culture media is so strong that even we get affected. So I don't blame, honestly, when people have these negative perceptions, because the way culture works and propaganda works, it's very powerful. It actually impacts the Muslim community ourselves. And sometimes, even though this is my work, sometimes I have to, think about it and say, really, is this the way we are? And then I have to, like shake myself up and, just sort of get back. No, this is, this is how we compare. And if we, the way it's depicted, the way, words are written, the way the whole bit is framed, that is problematic. So certainly, the Muslim community also does not know this history, and certainly the larger community, doesn't know the history. So it's very powerful, that monologue. We have,
there are three sections, three contents of the Tea and Tales. One is the presentation that we usually talk about, the different faith and different background of the Muslim history. We touch on the hijab and the dressing, the statistics, the data, a little bit we touch around that, and then, as Sarah said, the monologue, which is the theatrical part to represent the woman who did something extraordinary as a woman, as a first woman, like the Turkish pilots. We have lots of those. So we have been having, and I would like to say thank you to all those volunteers who are the team for Tea and Tales. And the third part is the cultural cafe, that is the candid conversation with tea entries from their culture. And it is always appreciated.
And how often do you do that one?
So last year we did for 6 churches, and then for one organization for the Islamophobia training, we covered that.
Okay, nice.
And now we are booked for 3 organizations, 2 churches and 1 organization. That is.
So you're kind of planning along for the new year.
Yeah. We have lots of emails and calls that they want to book us. So till October we are booked, but we would love to take more, and we would, as Sarah said, the Islamophobia cover the big engagement, encourage and motivation part. So we are welcoming anyone to contact us, whether they're organization, interfaith groups, or anybody.
Wow.
And also the membership of the Coalition of Muslim Women has no affiliation with the religion or culture. Everybody is welcome to be member, provided they have to be a woman.
Yes, that's the restriction.
No men can join us.
Come on.
We love them when they volunteer for us. So they should volunteer for us.
Okay. Okay. So
Men are welcome to volunteer.
Thank you.
Come to our events, show up. We would appreciate.
That's what I thought.
your
Yeah, for sure. Because I did remember you guys mentioned that men can volunteer and
for sure.
Good.
We have many other events. One of the bigger events is in May for a taste of Ramadan iftar. And last year it was at Rim Park. 500 people attended, and it is basically to share the fasting of the Muslim people, Muslim community. And we have included the Tea and Tales part in that on the table as a table host in the community. And the idea is to bridge the gaps of understanding in the larger community, so that they come, they know about the Muslim culture, what we believe in, who we are.
For sure.
So
as neighbors, right?
As neighbors. So this year we will be doing again in May. So look for all the information on our coalition's Facebook or website, or just email us.
Yeah, Facebook is very active. Coalition's Facebook is very active. But like you mentioned, in Guyana, you grew up. This was, you're very familiar. When we
Very
grew
much
up in
so.
a diverse community, we're familiar. When we're going colleagues with work with our school friends and neighbors, we understand each other culture,
Sure we do.
and so this is really amazing. Outreach event for the larger community, put on by Muslims, to let them know, like this is something that is very integral part of the community, and to come and learn, and there are
Engage, for
examples,
sure.
and there are examples all over the world, like Guyana, that where different communities, they are living and beautifully with
Correct.
each other, and they know about each other. So it is important.
I'm very familiar with the Muslim practice and all that, because believe it or not, many times, and my friends and so on, don't take it personal, but many times I had to remind my Muslim friends of Ramadan and so on. because I mean, different people
Of course,
celebrate
yeah.
in their own way,
Sure.
and so and we have to respect that too. And so sometimes me not being a Muslim, sometimes I assume that,
Right,
that
yeah.
Muslim will be celebrating this and
Sure.
so on. And so if I'm invited, let's say for something during, let's say, a Muslim fasting period or so on, then I'm questioning myself. I'm thinking, like, how come they're inviting me here? And
Yeah.
then there's this going on, but not everybody
Sure,
celebrates it
absolutely.
the way like other people do, and so on.
Absolutely, and that's something that we certainly touch upon. When we're presenting that there are diverse ways to be
for sure.
Muslims, and just like Christianity,
Just
just
like
like
anything else.
Hinduism, just like all faiths have those who are a little more orthodox. They have those who are they have different interpretations. They have different ways
But also some people
practice.
some people acknowledge to me that they understand and know how important it is, and they wish if they could have done more in terms of the fasting piece and so on.
Sure,
because they know
yeah.
how important it is, even for the physical aspect of the body and all
Oh,
that.
they're
And
saying-
and stuff like that. But it's just, they wish if they could have done more. They
Yeah.
understand the importance of it. It's just that they just couldn't do more.
Of course,
stuff like
and
that.
that's absolutely
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
that's understanding.
Yeah,
Like
that's it.
that is understandable, and we are all like in our own way. We are all
Absolutely.
struggling and overcoming our everybody has their own challenges and personal barriers,
So
and we're
events
all
never
doing
end.
that.
So.
Every month we have something.
Yeah, it's
Oh
very
yes,
active.
for sure. It's not a bad thing too.
Something on the art exhibition, then time will
Oh,
be
that's
short.
another amazing project.
For sure. So, but listen,
Yeah.
we are wrapping up here, and we are pretty much this is the end of our time. So, 5 seconds. What's the last word you would like to say? But one thing I can tell both of you is that the pleasure was all mine to have both of you in here. I enjoyed the conversation so much, and I'll be watching it back again because there are some rich pieces that I probably missed. I have to kind of really
goodness,
watch it back. And
thank you.
please do take the time to share it. We are going to take it and we'll put it into YouTube as well to share that with you. But let's get this conversation going. So, any last minute word? You have 2 seconds now.
Oh no, I really appreciate. Thank you so much. It's really kind of you to invite, and the pleasure is all ours. And I love the conversation.
Yes, and you know what? One thing,
Thank you so
one
much.
thing I can tell you for sure though, that we will have you guys back when the time is right.
Sounds
So
good.
this
Okay.
is not the first and last time. We've had past guests coming back
Absolutely.
because of the richness and so much to share. So obviously, when time permits, we'll
Sure.
have this. We are going to actually continue this conversation. How
Sure,
about you?
absolutely.
What the last
So,
word you want
Narine,
to say?
Thank you to you and CKMS FM 102.7 for inviting both of us. We had a great time, and I know we have lots to share, but we would appreciate if people ask us questions. We have the Facebook page. We sit in the family center where our office is there. And my message is that thank you to all the volunteers who are there for us, the community, our sponsors, our funders. If I start to take names, it will be short. So thank you to everyone for being a great partner with us and having a beautiful community.
All right. So on that note, on behalf of myself, Narine Dat, and these 2 special guests, Sarah, am I saying it right? And Uzma, we would like to wish you a great today and even a better tomorrow. So we'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye.